From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
The number of Arizonans sick with the flu this summer is much higher than in previous years. How this common illness has left the health department is scratching their heads.
With so many reacting to the new healthcare plan, more groups continue to come together as one voice. Later, we find out how this bill is affecting Latinos in Arizona.
And today is World Population Day, and there is no doubt our numbers continue to grow each year. The special package members of Congress are getting in the mail as a reminder to protect endangered species.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Emily Bloom.
And I'm Patricio Espinosa. Thank you for joining us. Typically this time of the year, the flu is the farthest thing from our minds, but the Arizona Department of Health Services says it is seeing record numbers this summer compared to last year. Cronkite News reporter Tyler Finger joins us now. Tyler, why is this happening?
Patricio, typically flu season runs from October to May, but this year typical is being thrown out the window. We're seeing a high number of cases this summer, and the health department isn't sure why. Just take a look at this. In a typical June, there are about 200 lab-confirmed cases in Arizona. Last month, we saw nearly 1,300 people get sick, so that's about a 550% increase from the average. The Arizona Department of Health Services says this year's flu season has been different than most.
Flu is predictably unpredictable, so from season to season, we never know exactly when it's going to peak or which specific strains of the virus will be circulating. In this case, it's looked like instead of having a big peak, we've had sort of a sustainment of the flu and a lot more cases in the summer this year.
At this point, you're probably asking, how can you protect yourself? The Arizona Department of Health Services says besides having a flu shot, which is normally no longer available this late in the season, you can do things like washing your hands, and if you feel sick, to stay home from work or school to make sure you don't spread whatever germs are making you sick. Tyler Finger, Cronkite News.
Healthcare is a top concern for Unidos US, previously known as the National Council of La Raza. The National Convention is wrapping up here in Phoenix, and they tackled the topic of the Senate Republican healthcare bill. Cronkite News reporter Holly Bernstein went to the press conference last night to learn more about the impact they say that this bill could have.
Unidos US conducted a survey at the conference, and it included questions such as how attendees got their health insurance, if they had heard about the bill, and whether or not they supported or opposed the legislation. Out of nearly 1,400 responses, only 3% supported the bill.
At age 23, Vanessa Ramirez was diagnosed with cancer and says because of that, she will always have a pre-existing condition. Ramirez says she got health insurance through the ACA marketplace after being rejected for Medicaid. Her husband owns his own business, and if she loses options to get health insurance, it could hurt her family financially.
If I don't have the opportunity to get health insurance, well, then we're just going to have to change our game plan, unfortunately.
According to Unidos US, the state would lose $19 billion in Medicaid funds if the Senate votes to approve the bill, and more than 927,000 Latinos are enrolled in the state's program.
Given the tremendous amount of harm this bill could do, it's no wonder that there's universal and widespread opposition, and that the Latino community is behind it just as much as anybody else.
The Advance Advocacy Central booth also provided postcards for attendees to write to Senators Jeff Flake and John McCain to tell them to oppose the legislation.
So that they know that people are aware of this issue, that they're watching, and that they're calling upon their members of Congress to reject this bill.
Ramirez says if the current law is repealed, she worries about what would happen if the cancer comes back.
Would I be deemed uninsurable? Would my coverage be incredibly expensive because I beat cancer? These are the questions that I think about now as a mother.
Lopez says the event has been an opportunity to inform more people about how the bill could affect them. At the Broadcast Center, Holly Bernstein, Cronkite News.
And there's an ongoing investigation about emails threats between a music publicist and President Trump's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., during the presidential campaign. The email includes the publicist promising damaging information on Hillary Clinton. A variety of Congress members say this is a big deal, including Senator John McCain, who believes this could be just the beginning.
I've said many times in the past, there's another shoe that will drop, and there will be other shoes that will drop.
The Trump Organization has confirmed these emails are legitimate, and Trump Jr. posted them on Twitter. The Russian lawyer that met with Trump Jr. said she did not discuss anything related to Hillary Clinton during their encounter in New York.
3 Republican congressmen have signed a letter asking the Trump administration to eliminate 4 Arizona national monuments, saying the 1906 Antiquities Act has good intentions but disrupts collaborative fish and wildlife management. Representatives Trent Franks, Andy Biggs, and Paul Gosar are targeting the Grand Canyon Parashant, Ironwood Forest, Sonoran Desert, and Vermilion Cliffs national monuments, although some conservation groups say the monuments should be permanently protected to preserve their beauty and wildlife.
And the Motor Vehicle Division says offices in 2 major Arizona cities will be closed 1 weekday morning per month. Offices in the Phoenix and Tucson area will not open until noon on the second Wednesday of each month. Starting tomorrow, the MVD says they will be using these mornings for training sessions designed to implement improvements in the agency's technology. Apache Junction and rural areas are not affected. Offices will continue to open at 7:30 a.m. on other business days.
Today is World Population Day, and our current population is 7.6 billion people.
And some have found an interesting way to bring awareness to our effect on the environment. Coming up on Cronkite News, a special delivery for senators, how one group hopes to spark the conversation.
And in the midst of monsoon season and wildfires burning across the state, safety is more important now than ever. We'll tell you how a group of volunteers is working to provide emergency aid across the state.
What are you doing? Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse.
TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
Các nhà lãnh đạo Việt Nam mà nói rằng là chúng tôi sẵn sàng hy sinh đến cái người dân Việt Nam cuối cùng. Thực sự mà nói thì người dân không biết được, viện miền Bắc không có thể ý thức một cách đầy đủ rằng đằng sau những cái tuyên bố mà cao cả đấy là sự hy sinh của chính họ.
Now.
Officially from 36, and he hooks it in. Arizona State wins. Keeping one deep, and it is caught. Jalen Strong. Do you believe
The Phoenix Police Department is considering changes to its current policies on immigration. These changes could stop officers from questioning crime victims or witnesses about their legal status. This comes after President Trump signed an executive order earlier this year asking local officials to be more aggressive on immigration. The new policy doesn't affect current laws that require the federal government to verify every arrest individual's immigration status before they are released.
When you're feeling tender, think of Hellbender. Maybe not the message that would come to mind for World Population Day, and maybe not the message you would expect to find wrapped around a package of condoms. But that's the message U.S. senators got in the mail Monday from the Tucson-based Center for Biological Diversity. The goal was to link overpopulation and endangered species to mark World Population Day. That is today. Cronkite News reporter Noelle Lilly brings us reaction from Washington.
The element of surprise is exactly what the Center for Biological Diversity was going for when they mailed out these colorful condoms. We're not sure how surprised the senators were, but that was definitely the reaction that I got when I walked around Capitol Hill in Washington today and tried to get people to guess what was in that box.
Congress gets tons of letters, and that's important, and they get tons of calls, and that's important. But when you get a brightly colored package that has a butterfly or a polar bear, and you open it and it's full of condoms, that's going to get your attention.
I'm outside the Capitol in Washington, D.C. today, asking people about World Population Day, as well as some interesting gifts that were sent to U.S. senators on Monday.
Maybe when I'm feeling nice and passionate, I should also think about the small creatures of the world.
Well, I feel that it may be some reference to global warming. It's a hot day here in Washington, D.C. It's probably a good opportunity for us to think about the environment.
Not to kill the polar bears and use their fur.
That's actually a really good guess. So these, in honor of World Population Day, were actually sent out on boxes of condoms to U.S. senators in order to encourage people to have safe sex. Did you guys know that? Do you know anything about that?
I did not know anything about that.
I'll have to digest that for a while.
Yeah. The center sends out these condoms in the hopes of raising awareness about how the increase in human population can affect the environment, especially endangered species.
As our population grows, those pressures are also going to grow. I'm not telling you not to have children or to have fewer children, but to ensure that when you do have children, if you decide to, they're planned. Almost half of all pregnancies in the United States are unintended.
This year, the center only sent out condoms to senators, a reflection of the current Senate health care bill, which the center says will make it even more difficult for people to have safe sex.
Really what we are trying to focus on is broadening that conversation and showing that your choices impact the environment.
As we mentioned earlier, we're not sure how the senators reacted when they received these little gifts. We stopped by Senator Flake and Senator McCain's office, but neither was able to say how they felt about receiving those packages. Live in Washington, Noelle Lilly, Cronkite News.
Firefighters have been working extra hard in Arizona for the last couple of weeks.
And their safety is just as important as ours. Coming up on Cronkite News, we'll show you why firehouses are in need of better funding.
And we are looking at a chance of precipitation each and every day for the week ahead. Find out which day you are most likely to see some of that monsoon weather. Coming up in your full 7-day forecast.
I don't think a military mom at the time would want to announce my son has gone AWOL, my son has run to Canada, my son is all the words that were associated with it, a deserter, a coward, all of the things that these guys were called. I don't think that's what those guys thought they were doing. I do not think they thought they were deserting. I do not think they thought they were cowards. In fact, I think they thought they were very brave.
You're a dreamer. Don't hide it from anyone. Don't hide it from anyone. Hey, would you believe me if I said we are here for a reason now? This is our life. This is what counts. This is for us. I will go
Officially from 36, and he hooks it in. Arizona State wins. Keeping one deep, and it is caught. Dylan Strong. Do you believe
it? When Arizona firefighters put themselves in harm's way, up to 90% may go into action with protective clothing that is more than 10 years old. That was one finding of a report released in Washington today by the National Fire Protection Association, which issued a call for more federal support for local firehouses.
Volunteer fire departments, if you look at almost all of them out in the rural communities, are all doing fundraisers. I mean, they're doing, they're selling chicken dinners on the side of the road. And I'm not making fun of any of them. I mean, they're all out there legitimately working hard to raise money to fund the firehouse.
Cade said the problem of underfunding is not unique to Arizona, but is an issue for fire departments nationwide. He did say Arizona departments seem to do a relatively good job with the resources that they have.
The wildfire fight in Arizona and across the western United States continues tonight. For those who have been evacuated, the American Red Cross is providing shelters and volunteers. Cronkite News reporter Tyler Paley learned more about the training efforts for these volunteers.
The American Red Cross provides various types of training courses for disaster relief and emergency responses. Today, the Greater Phoenix chapter held a shelter training program specifically aimed toward the wildfires in our state.
We have realized that we're going to need more people if the wildfires continue and if as the monsoons come in.
As firefighters come closer to fully containing the wildfires that have consumed our state and much of the western part of the country, the American Red Cross is making a call to the public. It needs volunteers to set up and run shelters for those forced out of their homes. Volunteers like Dale LaHoo, who simply want to lend a hand.
I love helping the people out. I'm a retired firefighter back in Connecticut. Kind of miss helping the people out, so now I'm here and open my heart to people that really need it.
And in order to maximize the help the Red Cross can provide, it needs as many volunteers as possible.
When people are forced from their homes, they need comfort and a safe place to stay. And so it takes a lot of people to provide that.
Volunteers practiced setting up a mock shelter and played various roles throughout the training. The Greater Phoenix chapter says it has roughly 200 volunteers dedicated to wildfire relief. If you want to help, visit redcross.org/volunteer. Tyler Paley, Cronkite News.
It's monsoon season, which means rain and cooler temperatures. Emily has your full forecast on what to expect this next few days.
We are currently sitting at 103 degrees here in Phoenix. It's been pretty cloudy today, and while that has provided us quite a bit of relief from all of the sunshine we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks, it's not without that humidity. We are currently sitting at 28%, but we did start off the day at 50%. Now our high today of 109 degrees, still a couple degrees above that average of 107, but fortunately below that record of 118. Now taking a look across our state, we have got 63 at the Grand Canyon, 109 in Lake Havasu, 92 down in Tucson, and a beautiful 66 in Show Low. Across the valley, we are all sitting in those triple digits. We've got 100 for Goodyear, 101 in Glendale, and 100 in Levine. Now, taking a look at our satellite radar, this area of high pressure moved in and it has been sitting over the Great Basin area. That is keeping our temperatures pretty normal for this time of year. Now, as we take a look at all of this activity across the state, that has put Flagstaff under a hazardous weather outlook that was issued today by the National Weather Service, and it is looking to last until Monday. Now, all of this precipitation that we are going to be seeing, as we see these thunderstorms popping up, that means we could also see quite a bit of blowing dust. So if you're on the roads during these times, make sure that you are taking extra precaution. Now, taking a look ahead, we're looking at a chance for that precipitation Wednesday and Thursday at 10%. Friday, we bounce that up to 20%, and by the beginning of next week, we are looking at a 30% chance for that monsoon moisture. For Cronkite Weather, I'm Emily Bloom.
And Arizona talents continue to stand out. This time, Phoenix Suns coach Earl Watson took the spotlight. Coming up on Cronkite News, how he was recognized for his commitment to the community.
I was at the post office mailing something. I asked the clerk,
how do they let you know if your son is wounded? It was very hard for me to form those words, but I just felt, I've got to know. I just felt so suspended in space and anxiety. And the man said, now, don't worry. They'll tell you.
Fascinating.
You know, sometimes I wish I wasn't so beloved.
Wow.
It's literally one for the history books.
Enjoy.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse.
TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
The Arizona Coyotes are reaching into their past for their new man behind the bench today. The team named former winger Rick Tocchet the 18th coach in franchise history. Tocchet played parts of 3 seasons with the Coyotes, part of an 18-year career spent with 6 different organizations. The 4-time All-Star won 3 Stanley Cups, one as a player with the Pittsburgh Penguins in 1992, and the last 2 Cups with the Penguins as an assistant coach.
Very big. I mean, there's a lot of people still in the organization that I'm friends with and that have been, they're still here. That's a big plus. Like I said, I lived in the area. I know a lot of people there. I know a lot of hockey people, friends of mine that are season ticket holders. So you weigh that all in. Obviously, you're not going in blind. I know that city fairly well. So that was obviously a factor for me coming back and accepting the job.
After just 1 season with the Phoenix Suns, Coach Earl Watson was recognized for his work with kids in different parts of the country. Last night, our reporter Alexis Ramanjulu talked to Watson and tells us what that means for him.
Phoenix Suns coach Earl Watson is the first Hispanic coach in the NBA, but his passion for the game and efforts in giving back to the community earned him recognition from Unidos US, formerly the National Council of La Raza.
For his resilient heart and impressive leadership, NCLR is proud to present the Roberto Clemente Award for Sports Excellence to Coach Earl Watson.
Earl Watson is a second-generation Mexican-American. He said his mother instilled a powerful sense of the family's Mexican roots in him from a young age.
Because it's all about my mom. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mom.
It is that strong connection to his family's past that makes this award so special for Watson.
It means everything. It's for my family heritage. It's for, my grandparents came over as illegal immigrants. My mom is first generation Mexican, and me being second. It's a great opportunity to spread awareness and, create a belief that anything's possible.
A second-round draft pick out of UCLA, Watson played 13 seasons in the NBA. When the Suns named him their head coach last year, he was the youngest coach in the league.
The first Latino coach, head coach in the NBA. I think it's a testament to his hard work and to his family. But for him to feel pride in his culture to want to come and be part of this, I also think it says a lot about Coach Watson, and we're really just excited to have him here.
According to Unidos US, the Roberto Clemente Award for Sports Excellence is given to someone well known in the sports world and is dedicated to the advancement of Hispanic Americans. Watson is following the footsteps of Tom Flores, the first Hispanic NFL coach, and last year's winner, boxer Orlando Cruz. In the Broadcast Center, Alexis Ramonjulu, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, hear how the state's refusal to provide voting records to the White House could be challenged in court. And we'll learn about the Cobb brothers, pioneering photographers of the Grand Canyon.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next NewsHour, part 2 of our series, Inside Putin's Russia, looks at media control, propaganda, and hackers. That's Tuesday on the PBS NewsHour.
And that is for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.